How are you guys doing? Today is Tuesday, December 28th, 2021. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review the Elite matchups and performances that took place yesterday on Monday, December 27th. Taking a look at where we are in the calendar years, there are including today, 4 days left in the calendar year. We are towards the end of the collegiate football season, as right now we are in the bowl weeks, as football teams are ending their season one day at a time. In the NFL, now that yesterday's matchups are done, there are only 2 weeks left in the NFL football season. And taking a look at what's going on with basketball, both the NBA and college basketball are well underway. And we are approaching the midway point for the soccer season, as that's how the soccer season is broken up. But with that said, first looking at the lone college football bowl game from yesterday, the Quick Lane Bowl featured the unranked Western Michigan Broncos and the unranked Nevada Wolfpack. Western Michigan would end up beating Nevada 52-24. The Broncos outscored the Wolfpack by 31-10 in the first half, and then 21-14 in the second half. On the losing end of this matchup, the Nevada Wolfpack were led by their starting quarterback, Nate Cox. He threw for 121 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. He also ran for 8 yards. That's 109 total yards of offense. Nevada's leading rusher was Devontae Lee. He had 7 carries for 85 yards and a touchdown run. Their leading receiver, Jamal Bell, had 7 receptions for 75 yards as he had the team's lone receiving touchdown. Trevor Price led Nevada in tackles as he had 13 of them. And Burdale Robbins would finish with the team's lone interception as he would finish with 4 tackles on the day. On the winning end of this matchup, the Western Michigan Broncos were led by their starting quarterback, Caleb Ellaby. Ellaby would throw for 162 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. He would also run for 23 yards and a touchdown. He finished with 185 total yards of offense and 3 touchdowns of offense. I said offense twice, but who cares? Their leading rusher, Sean Tyler, had 14 carries for 146 yards on the ground. He also had a 7-yard reception, so he had 153 total yards of offense. Western Michigan's second leading rusher, Jackson Kincaid, finished with 17 carries for 105 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Their leading receiver, Corey Crooms, had 174-yard touchdown reception. On the defensive side of the ball, the Broncos were led in tackles by Ryan Seelig. He had 8 tackles as he had a sack for himself. Ali Fayyad finished with 5 tackles as he had a sack and a half. The team would combine for 6 of them on the day. Dorian Jackson would finish with the team's lone interception and the game's lone interception as he finished with 2 tackles as well. With this win, the unranked Western Michigan Broncos from the Mid-Atlantic Conference will finish their 2021 collegiate football season with an 8-5 record. With this loss, the unranked Nevada Wolfpack of the Mountain West Conference will finish their season with an 8-5 record as well. Skipping over college basketball because none of the top 25 ranked teams played a game yesterday. Taking a look at what went down in the final NFL matchup of Week 16 of the 18-week calendar year. The New Orleans Saints hosted the Miami Dolphins as the Saints are now on quarterback number 4, Ian Book out of Notre Dame. Miami would end up beating the Saints 20-3. They outscored the Saints 10-3 in the first half before shutting the Saints out 10-0 in the second half. On the losing end of this matchup, the Saints were led by their starting quarterback, Ian Book. He threw for 135 yards and 2 interceptions. He ran the ball for 6 yards, so he had 141 total yards of offense. Their elite running back, Alvin Kamara, finished with 52 yards on the ground and 7 yards through the air as he had 59 total yards of offense. On the defensive side of the ball, the Saints' leading tackler was Pete Werner. He had 10 of them on the day. Their elite defensive end, Cameron Jordan, finished with 6 tackles as he had 2 of the team's 3 sacks. Marshawn Lattimore, their elite corner, would finish with the team's lone interception as he had 3 tackles as well. On the winning end of this matchup, the Miami Dolphins were led by their elite starting quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa out of Alabama. Tagovailoa would complete 19 of his 26 passes as he threw for 198 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. He also ran the ball for a yard. That's 199 total yards of offense. Their leading receiver, Jalen Waddle, their first-round pick out of Alabama, finished with 10 receptions for 92 yards as he had the team's lone receiving touchdown. On the defensive side of the ball, Christian Wilkins led the team in tackles as he had 8 tackles. He even had half of a sack. Jerome Baker would finish with 6 tackles as he had a sack and a half for himself. The Dolphins would combine for 8 as Emmanuel Ogbah had 5 tackles. He had 2 sacks for himself. Nick Needham would finish with a pick 6 for the day as he finished with 2 tackles, and the other interception for the Dolphins went to Brandon Jones. Brandon Jones would finish with 6 tackles and a sack alongside his interception. With this win, the Miami Dolphins are now 8-7. With this loss, the New Orleans Saints are now 7-8. Following this matchup, there are 2 weeks left in the NFL season, and of course, we're going to inch through those a day at a time. Taking a look at what went down in the NBA, starting off in Atlanta, the Atlanta Hawks hosted the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls would end up beating the Hawks 130-118. The Bulls won this matchup by 12 after they outscored the Atlanta Hawks by 11 in the second quarter and by 5 in the third, by 16 in the middle 2 quarters. On the losing end of this matchup, the Atlanta Hawks were led in scoring by their starting small forward out of Duke, Cam Reddish. He finished with 33 points in 40 minutes as he shot 11 for 23 from the field, 8 for 13 from 3, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. The Hawks' elite starting point guard, Trae Young, finished with 29 points and 9 assists in 40 games in his first game back from being on the COVID list. He would shoot 8 for 23 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3, and a perfect 12 for 12 from the foul line. The Hawks starting shooting guard, Bogdan Bogdanovic, finished with 20 points in 41 minutes. He shot 7 for 15 from the field, 4 for 9 from 3, and 2 for 3 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Chicago Bulls were led in scoring by their starting small forward, DeMar DeRozan. He finished with 35 points, 5 rebounds, and 10 assists in 38 minutes. He shot 14 for 20 from the field, a perfect 2 for 2 from 3, and he shot 5 for 8 from the foul line. Their starting shooting guard out of UCLA, Zach LaVine, finished with 30 points, 4 rebounds, and 9 assists in 37 minutes. He shot 11 for 21 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. Their starting center and former All-Star Nikola Vucevic finished with 24 points, 17 rebounds, and 6 assists, as well as 4 blocks in 34 minutes. Vucevic shot 9 for 19 from the field, 4 for 8 from 3, and 2 for 3 from the foul line. With this win, the Chicago Bulls are now 21-10. With this loss, the Atlanta Hawks are now 15-18. Jumping out to Charlotte, the Hornets hosted the Houston Rockets. The Charlotte Hornets would end up beating the Rockets 123-99. The Hornets won this matchup by 24 after they outscored the Rockets by 14 in the first half and by 12 in the third. On the losing end of this matchup, the Rockets were led in scoring by their guard off the bench, Trevelin Queen out of New Mexico State. Trevelin Queen will go on to finish with 17 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 steals in 29 minutes. He shot 6 for 13 from the field, 4 for 10 from 3, and he made his only free throw attempt on the night. On the winning end of this matchup, the Charlotte Hornets were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard, Terry Rozier. Rozier finished with 27 points and 5 assists in 27 minutes. He shot 10 for 17 from the field. He would shoot 7 for 12 from 3 as well. Their elite starting point guard, LaMelo Ball, finished with 16 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals in 25 minutes. He shot 6 for 12 from the field and 4 for 7 from 3. With this win, the Charlotte Hornets are now 18-17. With this loss, the Houston Rockets are now 10-24. Taking a look now at what went down in Minneapolis, the Timberwolves hosted the Boston Celtics. The Wolves would beat the Celtics 108-103. They won this matchup by 5 after they outscored the Celtics by 16 in the second half. On the losing end of this matchup, the Celtics were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard, Jaylen Brown. He finished with 26 points and 10 rebounds, as well as 6 assists in 39 minutes. He shot 8 for 24 from the field. Their starting point guard, Peyton Pritchard, finished with 24 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists in 45 minutes. He shot 8 for 22 from the field, 5 for 14 from 3, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Minnesota Timberwolves will be led in scoring by their starting shooting guard, Jaylen Nowell. He finished with 29 points and 6 rebounds in 35 minutes. He shot 10 for 18 from the field, 6 for 9 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the foul line. Their starting forward, Nathan Knight, out of William and Mary, will go on to finish with 20 points of his own. He would go on to finish with 11 rebounds as well, as he would play 29 minutes. He shot 8 for 11 from the field, a perfect 2 for 2 from 3, and 2 for 3 from the foul line. With this win, the Minnesota Timberwolves are 16-17. With this loss, the Boston Celtics are now 16-18. Taking a look now at what went down in San Antonio, the Spurs hosted the Utah Jazz. The Jazz would end up beating the Spurs 110-104. The Jazz would win this matchup by 6 after they outscored the Spurs by 10 in the first half. On the losing end of this matchup, the Spurs were led in scoring by their starting point guard, Derek White. He finished with 21 points, 8 assists, and 3 steals in 35 minutes. He shot 8 for 16 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, and he shot 2 for 3 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Utah Jazz were led in scoring by their point guard off the bench, former NBA Sixth Man of the Year, Jordan Clarkson. He finished with 23 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists in 32 minutes. Clarkson shot 9 for 21 from the field and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. Their elite starting center, Rudy Gobert, finished with 16 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 blocks in 26 minutes. He shot 5 for 7 from the field and a perfect 6 for 6 from the foul line. With this win, the Utah Jazz are now 24-9. With this loss, the San Antonio Spurs are now 14-19. Taking a look at what went down in Phoenix, the Suns hosted the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies would beat the Suns 114-113. They won this matchup by 1 after they outscored the Suns by 11 in the second quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the Phoenix Suns were led in scoring by their elite starting shooting guard out of Kentucky, Devin Booker. He finished with 30 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks in 37 minutes. Booker shot 10 for 20 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, and 7 for 9 from the foul line. Their elite starting point guard out of Wake Forest, Chris Paul, finished with 13 points, 6 rebounds, 13 assists, and 3 steals in 35 minutes. He shot 4 for 13 from the field and a perfect 5 for 5 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Memphis Grizzlies were led in scoring by their elite starting point guard out of Murray State, Ja Morant. He would go on to finish with 33 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals in 34 minutes. He would go on to shoot 14 for 25 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, and 2 for 4 from the foul line. The Grizzlies starting shooting guard out of TCU, Desmond Bane, would finish with 32 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists in 37 minutes. He shot 12 for 22 from the field, 6 for 11 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. With this win, the Memphis Grizzlies are now 21-14. With this loss, the Phoenix Suns are now 26-7. Taking a look now at what went down in Portland, the Trailblazers hosted the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavericks would end up beating the Trailblazers 132-117. The Mavs won this one by 15 after they outscored the Trailblazers by a combined 19 in the first half. On the losing end of this matchup, the Blazers were led in scoring by their elite starting point guard, Damian Lillard. He finished with 26 points, 2 rebounds, and 5 assists, as well as 5 turnovers in 36 minutes. He shot 5 for 15 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3, and he would go on to shoot 13 for 14 from the foul line. Their starting small forward out of UNC, Nasir Little, would finish with 20 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 steals, as well as 3 blocks in 34 minutes. He shot 7 for 14 from the field, and with this win on the winning side of this matchup, the Mavs were led in scoring by their starting center, Kristaps Porzingis. He finished with 34 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals, as well as 2 blocks in 32 minutes. He shot 12 for 21 from the field, 3 for 7 from 3, and 7 for 9 from the foul line. Their starting center, Dwight Powell, finished with 22 points in 24 minutes. He shot 9 for 11 from the field. He made his only three-pointer of the day, and with this win, the Dallas Mavericks are now 16-17. With this loss, the Portland Trailblazers are now 13-20. Last but not least, taking a look at what went down in the Crypto.com arena, the Clippers hosted the Brooklyn Nets. The Nets would end up beating the Clippers 124-108, winning this matchup by 16. The Nets outscored the Clippers by 16 in the first half. On the losing end of this matchup, the Clippers were led in scoring by their starting small forward, Marcus Morris Jr. He finished with 24 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists in 27 minutes. He shot 6 for 13 from the field. He shot 4 for 7 from 3 and a perfect 8 for 8 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Brooklyn Nets were led in scoring by their elite starting shooting guard, James Harden. He finished with 39 points, 8 rebounds, 15 assists, and 2 steals in 40 minutes. He shot 15 for 25 from the field, 4 for 9 from 3, and a perfect 5 for 5 from the foul line. With this win, the Brooklyn Nets are now 23-9, and with this loss, the LA Clippers are now 17-17. That's what the NBA is looking like. Taking a look at what went down overseas, the only big matchup that took place was in the Premier League, as Man U drew 1-1 with Newcastle. Their lone goal coming from their Uruguayan striker Edison Cavani. With that said, first I want to thank the ESPN, the FIFA, the NCAA, the NBA, and the NFL websites for giving me all the facts and figures that I need for this episode. I, of course, want to thank everyone for listening to all 15, 16 minutes of this piece. And with that said, once all of today's exhibitions and matchups are done, I'm going to come back tomorrow on Wednesday, December 29th for another episode of The Elite. So until then, thanks for listening. I hope all is well, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your 2021 year. And I know you're looking back on now, but this is quite some time ago. Thanks for listening. I hope all is well, and I'll catch you with another one. Peace out.